Hello, everyone, and welcome to our regulatory update meeting for September 2025. Today, we have a lot of update, a lot of information to share with you, and we'll cover the regulatory update for medical devices and IVD in 6 countries: South Africa, Pakistan, China, Egypt, Canada, and Singapore. So in our first country today is South Africa, and the update is related to AI medical devices. Let's start. So recently in August of this year, precisely 5th of August, SAPRA issued a communication highlighting how AI and machine learning medical devices will be managed in this country. So the key message is that while AI brings a huge benefit, it must be safe, ethical, and transparent. So importantly, South Africa wants to align with the international standards like FDA in the US and the European MDR, the IMDRF, and WHO guidance. So while, of course, tailoring here their own context. So this is why they published this communication to clarify what are their perspective about the AI medical devices. So all AI or ML medical devices must meet the same safety and performance requirement as traditional devices. This means that a quality management system is non-negotiable, and the risk analysis must be performed. Usability for a clinician must be validated. Because these devices rely on data, cybersecurity is critical as well. In order to protect both the device's function and also the patient data. That's very important. And beyond these essential requirements, SAPRA sets guiding principle. So first, patient safety always comes first. That means safeguard fallback mechanism and human oversight. Second, transparency, as we say. The user must understand how the AI makes decision, what it can and cannot do, and its uncertainty level. And the third one is that a robust cybersecurity and privacy control must be in place, so fully aligned with South Africa data protection law. Now, the AI systems evolve, so monitoring doesn't stop at approval. The company must continuously evaluate performance, detect data drift, and ensure the device works well across different patient populations. And if an algorithm adapts over time, this must be strictly controlled through a change management plan. And of course, clinical validation is required, not just in labs, but in real-world setting, and especially within the South African population. That was about the AI in South Africa, medical devices in South Africa. Now, let's shift to Singapore, our second country today, where we have 4 updates. The first one related to product registration. Then we will see software as medical device classification. Third one would be about change of registrant. And finally, special access routes. So let's start with the first one. So for the first update in Singapore, as we said, regarding the product registration, the Health Science Authority recently updated 2 important guidance in July and August of this year. These are the GN15, which deal with product registration processes, and the GN22, which especially covers Class A medical devices. So together, they introduce refinement in product notification, licensing, obligation and registration procedure for Class B, C, and D devices. So, starting with Class A medical devices, the process is not a full registration, as you already might know. So it's a notification. And manufacturer and importer must notify the authority to have their devices listed in the Class A medical devices database on the authority website. The GN revision 8 adds that in this revision, they add that this submission must be done electronically or through a share system. We already talked about that in a previous RegTalk. I'm not sure if it was the one from August or July, but just recently we talked about the share system in Singapore. So now also this notification for Class A devices should be done through the submission through the share system. So this is to reinforce the licensing requirement that Class A product be officially notified, not simply placed on the market. And for the second one, the Class B devices, the GN15 brings more detail on how applications are processed. So once submitted, an application fee is charged, and the HSA or authority checks if the dossier is eligible and complete. If the wrong evaluation route was chosen, for example, the application is rerouted and extra fee applied. So we should be careful. Only when the dossier is accepted so the evaluation fee are charged. We have two fees, the application fee and the evaluation fee. And importantly, the authority may request clarification. So when that happens, the evaluation clock stops until the applicant provides full answers. Now, always for the same class, Class B devices, but specifically for the immediate registration route, approval can be very fast. So with online payment, listing is immediate and the payment takes 3 to 5 days. But applicant must be careful. If the application fails eligibility, it will be cancelled and no refund will be issued. So this is the requirement of this system. Now, for higher risk Class C and D devices, in the same guideline, the GN15 applies similar rules, but with just a stricter expectation. But it's the similar rules as the one that we just discussed for Class B devices, like the fee are split in application fee and on the submission, and evaluation fee once the dossier is accepted. The authority will evaluate the data submitted, issue input requests if needed, and only fully compliant applications are listed in the register, the database. So yeah, as we said, always the clock will stop, pausing evaluation when the HSA is waiting for applicant responses. And the second update, as we said before, is regarding software as medical device classification, and the corresponding guideline is the GL07 that was published on July of this year. This was a specific guideline for risk classification for software as medical devices and clinical decision support software known as CDSS. So this revision focused on two areas. First, how a medical device or software as medical device that is non-IVD are classified when analyzing physiological or anatomical data. And second, clearer rules on when CDSS will not be regulated as medical devices. Let's look into these two updates. So the first one, as we said, like it will clarify the risk classification for non-IVD software as medical device. So any software designed to analyze or monitor key physiological processes like heart rate or blood pressure, or to interpret anatomical images such as X-ray or ultrasound scan, this would be classified as Class B. The key factor here is that the software directly influences clinical or patient management decision. This provides like certainty for developer. If your software interpret data of this nature, it's not a low risk, it's at least Class B. So this kind of details you'll find in this guideline. The second update, as we said, clarify why when a CDSS is not regulated as medical device. So first, if its intended use does not meet the Act's medical device definition, of course. Secondly, if it only display or prints information such as demographics, drug labeling, or published guideline without generating new recommendation. And the third, if its recommendation are strictly based on established clinical guideline, like those from WHO or the American Heart Association, etc. So in these cases, the software function more like a digital reference library rather than a regulated device. Now moving to the third update in Singapore today regarding the change of registrants. So in July of this year, the authority updated its guideline or guidance GN24 regarding the change of registrant for medical devices. So the process itself is straightforward. The current registrant, also known as the relinquishing company, passes responsibility to the accepting company who becomes the new registrant. So from now on, all the application for this transfer must be filled electronically in the SHARE system. And the SHARE platform acts as the official gateway for medical device regulatory application in Singapore, so also for this process. So now, as we said, the SHARE system was launched, and now all the application for all the processes will be updated, mentioning or reconfirming that this process would be also submitted on the SHARE system. So one of the key additions in this update is that accepting company will now have direct access to all the information and dossiers that were previously submitted by the relinquishing company for the same device. So this is like to eliminate gaps in documentation, ensure continuity in the regulatory responsibility, and reduces disputes about missing or incomplete records. I think that's all for the change of registrant. And now the last update for Singapore is about special access routes. So in September of this year, the beginning of this month, the HSA revised the guidance GN35. Many guidance were revised in Singapore between July, August, and September. If I'm not mistaken, it's always like that for Singapore. This is specific for guidance for special access routes, or SAR, as known, for unregistered medical devices. So this pathway, as you know, allow access to devices that are not yet registered but may be critical for patient care. Let's see. So the first change is procedural. Every SAR transaction must now be conducted through SHARE, Singapore Health Product Access and Regulatory E-System. This ensures all submissions are standardized, traceable, and managed centrally. So as we discussed for the other procedures, will have to be processed through SHARE. But the second update is specific to compassionate use cases. So when an unregistered medical device is the last treatment option for a patient and it has not been approved by any reference regulatory agency, the requesting physician must provide proof of professional consensus. So this requirement, based on the Singapore Medical Council Ethical Code, ensures that the medical decision is not taken in isolation, but supported by professional agreement within the clinical community. And switching to Pakistan, I think our third country today. The update is related to the online MDMC product registration system. In July of this year, the new digital system for licensing and registration of medical devices was launched, known as MDMC. And the purpose of this online system is to simplify how licensing and registration is managed in this country. It is designed to ensure transparency, reduce, like all the digital systems, reduce paperwork and make process faster and more predictable. So the new MDMC licensing and registration portal is available on is available on the official system and became mandatory starting July 21 of this year. From this date, so no manual submission will be accepted for licensing or registration procedure. It's already applicable. So the system covers all major regulatory functions, which include new and renewal application for establishment licenses, both for local or importers. Also manages new or renewal application for device registration, any post-registration or post-licensing variation. So it's covered the entire life cycle of the medical device approvals. And one important note, manual submission are, as we said, are no longer accepted from July 21, but application already submitted online under the old e-drop model will still be processed until completion. However, no new application can be filled there. The new MDMC portal is now the single platform for all submissions. Moving to China, we have two updates: medical device registration, self-inspection, and products classification. So for the first one, medical device registration, self-inspection. In September, at the beginning of this month, National Medical Product Administration of China issued the medical device registration, self-inspection verification guideline. So the aim is to strengthen registration management, ensure self-inspection is standardized, and support orderly review of registration application. So this guideline applies to Class 2 and 3 medical device, including IVD, and serve as both as reference or tool for the applicant. Or, yeah, let's see. So it applies when the applicant performs their own product testing. If all tests are outsourced to accredited labs, this guideline does not apply. It is meant to standardize and strengthen self-inspection practices while ensuring compliance with broader regulatory requirements. So the guideline requires applicants to integrate self-inspection in their QMS. They must have suitable staff, facility, and equipment to carry out inspection. They will do their self-inspection. They must also ensure that results are accurate, complete, and traceable. And importantly, the applicant bears full responsibility for the truthfulness of the self-inspection report. Now, regulators may conduct verification during the registration process. Their focus will be on staff qualification, laboratory condition, sample management, and quality control records. Inspections may be document-based or on-site, and expert inspectors may be brought in for complex cases. So, not every self-inspection requires an on-site check. If the lab is accredited under CNAS or if similar products have already been verified without major QMS changes, regulator may rely on document review. This also applies to very simple tests like visual appearance or basic measurement, which pose low risk. Now, applicant must maintain a robust QMS aligned with GMP and the self-inspection rules. They should apply risk management to staff, to equipment, to methods and environment. And each year, at least one internal audit and one management review must be conducted. And any conformity must be corrected, causes eliminated, and full records maintained. Now, personnel performing self-inspection must be permanent employee, not contractors. There are lots of conditions. Their education and skills must match the product testing requirement. They must be trained in applicable laws, standards, and safety practices. Training and competence check must be ongoing, and formal authorization of staff roles must be documented. So the guideline details strict requirements for facility and equipment, special laboratory, like microbiological, software, EMC, or clean room facility must meet defined standard. Equipment must be suitable for the method used, properly calibrated, traceable, and supported with full maintenance and usage record. Now, applicant must establish a complete sample management program covering identification, storage, and traceability. And quality control must include both internal methods, like blind sample or repeat test, and external methods such as inter-laboratory comparison or proficiency testing. A yearly QC plan must be developed and implemented. So as we said, the record must be complete, accurate, traceable. The testing method would be validated. So all these details, we can find them in this guideline to ensure that the self-inspection procedure is well respected. So the applicant may delegate self-inspection, but only under strict conditions. This is allowed to their contract manufacturers or accredited group labs. Even in these cases, the applicant must issue the final self-inspection report and remain fully responsible. So contracts must be clearly define obligation, technical transfer, and quality responsibility. Now, regarding the product classification, in July of this year, the NMPA released several new guiding principles for the classification of medical devices. These cover 3 areas: light source devices for myopia control and amblyopia treatment, devices using nanomaterial, and digital therapy software for rehabilitation. The first principle applies to light-based devices aimed at controlling myopia and treating amblyopia. Examples include LED-based red light therapy and laser-based products. So the classification depends on the light source. Laser falls under the class 3, while non-laser red light source for myopia or amblyopia fall under class 2. The guideline also warns manufacturer and clinician to carefully evaluate cumulative risk to the retina and the patient safety during the long-term use. So this is the classification for this first one. The second one, or the second guideline for this classification, about clarify the classification for devices using nanomaterial. So if nanomaterial don't contact the patient, the guidance does not apply. If used as drug carrier, they are regulated as drugs. For devices with direct medical use, the minimum classification is class 2, while those contacting internal tissue or wounds are class 3. Special rules apply for nanosilver. So products relying only on its antibacterial effects are not considered medical devices, but when used as an auxiliary coating in a device, they are classified as class 3. The third principle focuses on the rehabilitation digital therapy software. So these products use digital technology to provide training interventions, such as for speech, motor, or cognitive rehabilitation. They must have a clear intended clinical use, evidence-based, and follow rehabilitation medicine standard. Now, the classification is generally class 2, but if AI is the core technology, the classification follow AI software guidance. If combined with hardware devices, the overall category depends on the device software combination. Let's go to Egypt. In Egypt, we have also 2 updates: import and export for samples and facilitation of registration procedure. The first one related to import and export of samples. So on August 18 of this year, the Central Administration for Pharmaceutical Policy and Markets Support, together with the Central Administration for Medical Devices, they have announced the release of this new regulatory guide. So this guide defines the rules and procedure for importing and exporting medical devices and diagnosis samples, finished products, raw material, and production input. The main goal is to simplify and clarify what is the non-commercial sample, non-commercial sample transaction. So all requests must be submitted formally at custom with supporting documentation, and quantity are strictly limited and must not be for commercial use. The key documents include the factory license or importer registration, a detailed invoice, and a signed declaration that the samples will not be sold or marketed commercially. So samples can only be used for specific non-commercial purposes. These include research, development, validation and evaluation study, reverse engineering or comparative assessment. So this is to ensure that these samples will not be, will serve legitimate scientific or industrial purpose rather than a commercial use. And the second one is about the facilitation of registration procedure. So in June of this year, the EDA, or Egyptian Drug Authority, issued an important announcement to the medical device company representative. So this is to simplify the registration procedure. Let's see how. We'll talk about cases. The first case is straightforward. If a company provides a valid ISO 13485 certificate for the actual manufacturing site, this may be sufficient. The key condition is that the certificate must clearly state the name and address of the site it covers. Now, the second case. Company may present a CE certificate under the MDR. This certificate should be current, valid, and issued by a recognized notified body. It demonstrates compliance with the European safety and performance requirement. Good. Another option is presenting a GMP certificate. In such cases, GMP might substitute the ISO 13485, but it must explicitly cover the manufacturing site. To complete the file, company must also submit a trade certificate from a reference country and a CE certificate. Now, if the manufacturer cannot provide ISO 13485 or GMP, both the legal and actual manufacturing site must still be covered. In this situation, the applicant must provide a trade certificate from a recognized reference country and a valid CE certificate to demonstrate compliance. These are the cases as listed in the guidance. So the fifth case, for company still holding CE certification under the old Medical Device Directive or the MDD, EDA, the Egyptian authority, allows submission under this framework. However, it must be accompanied by a CE extension letter and a formal self-declaration from the manufacturer to confirm compliance. Now, the ADA emphasized the importance of confirming that certificates cover the actual product site. This can be validated in three ways: the certificate itself showing the site details, or a confirmation letter from the issuing authority, or direct verification by ADA with the certifying body. And I think this is our last country today, Canada. Here we have to update as well. The first one regarding the eStart pilot, and the second one is application tips. So the first one about eStart pilot. First of all, let me explain the core concepts for those that are not familiar with that. So the eStart is an interactive PDF template designed to guide manufacturers through preparing a full medical device submission. So it's a automate form creation, like a PDF that is semi-automated. It helps with the autofill, performs internal checks, and align with the IMDRF table of content structure. The goal is to reduce omission, streamline formatting, and help applicants to prepare more complete dossier for review. Now, as you might already know, Health Canada first trialed eStart in 2023 for Class 3 and 4 devices submission only. And the pilot proved conceptually viable and received positive feedback. So now they are launching a second pilot. This time the scope is broader, and not only new device submission, but also significant change amendment for existing licenses are eligible. The pilot also now include both in vitro and non-IVD, like medical devices and IVD. So to qualify for the pilot, several conditions must be met. First, the applicant must be ready to submit a Class 3 or Class 4 device license or a significant change amendment by the end of 2025. The device cannot be a combination product. Submission must currently be in English because the French version is planned for later. It's not available for now. And because IVD were previously out of scope in the previous pilot of 2023, so they will receive like a priority consideration this time. And manufacturers who want to join must email Health Canada with a request to participate in the eSAT pilot. In that message, they should include their company name, contact info, etc., etc., and also specify whether the device is an IVD, non-IVD. So, if selected, participants will get an information package that includes a start form to use, a project timeline, and the conversion tool that help map content into the IMDRF folder structure. So Health Canada also gives guidance on keeping the eStart file size manageable, ideally under 1 gigabyte, to reduce processing delays. So large file must be compressed and grouped in a wise way. So although this is a pilot, the usual user will pay fees, of course, and because this is a submission, and the review timeline follow the standard one used for non-pilot submission. If Health Canada needs clarification or additional information, they will send a request just like a regular review. The advantage of eStart is that more complete, well-organized submission may reduce back and forth and lead to a smoother review experience. Now, what are the benefits of this eStart pilot? As we just said, we can reconfirm again, the benefits include better consistency and completeness, fewer formatting mistakes, alignment with global standard. It's good to know already what that offer to be prepared for the upcoming regulation. And also, even if right now it's just a pilot, but in this update, like it give you an idea about the success of this first part, that the Health Canada is going through the second part, and soon we can expect the launch of the official eStart system. That will help a lot with the Health Canada submission. So as we said, it reduces formatting error, alignment with more international standards, and however, only a limited number of participants will be accepted, like all the pilot program. And submission must currently, as we said, be in English. This will pose a challenge for some firms, maybe. An applicant needs to have their full documentation ready by the deadline to qualify. That's all for eStart pilot in Canada. And the second update in Canada is then the last one in our RegTalk today is about the application tips. So what is that about? In this guidance is to help manufacturers to figure out what types of application they need to submit to Health Canada. And it covered both medical devices and IVD. So the goal is to clarify when a device can stand alone, when it can be grouped into family, system, or kits, so that applications are structured correctly under the medical device regulation. That's it. It's to know if it should be standalone and or family or kits or system. So this is a very nice tool. So for medical devices, Health Canada distinguishes between singles, family, group, group family, and system. For example, a guide wire and the catheter sold together as one prepackaged product is a single device. If sold separately, they form part of a system. A family might be different sizes of the same stent. A group could be a surgical tray, while a group family might be a variation of trays designed for the same specialty. Now for IVD, the same principle apply, but with tailored definition. So a single IVD could be a standalone analyzer. A test kit could be a rapid HIV test in different pack sizes. A family could be multiple glucose meters with the same design but different data storage option. And the system might be a blood glucose monitoring setup with strips controls and sold under one brand name. So the guidance give a lot of examples, like blood grouping reagent can be grouped in phenotype, drug of abuse test can be grouped by formative, etc., etc. So there are a lot of definition plus many examples. And the guideline just reconfirmed and that manufacturers are responsible for deciding and justifying their application structure. They need to explain in their cover letter why certain devices are grouped together, referencing the regulation. If a significant change affects one member of a family, it may mean the device no longer qualifies under that family license and needs a new application. That's all for today. Thank you for being with us and welcome question.
Hi, Iman.
Just one second. Yes,
Hi.
Mickey.
Thank you so
Hello.
much for that. That was very informative and great presentation of today. I have a question regarding China, the self-testing in China. Does a company, a manufacturer, can outsource the testing, or it should be done in-house?
Yes, if you remember in the last, in the end of this update, we confirmed that, yes, it could be, but the applicant should bear in mind that even if they can outsource that, they would first, these labs or where they will outsource this testing, it should be accredited by labs following strict condition. And even that, the company or the applicant stay fully responsible for the final report. So even if it is outsourced to another laboratory, the final responsibility is the responsibility of the applicant. But yes, in response to your question, yes, they can outsource it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, Rahil.
Hi, Iman. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
I have a question about Canada. Is it possible to mix IVD and non-IVD devices in one application?
I don't think so. I think this is like, as we said, even if there is, they follow different definition, as we said, like there is a test, IVD, this is different. They cannot be grouped together. They have different category, like for IVD, as we said, there are test kits, while in in medical devices, you have family, system, group name. They have a different group. They cannot be mixed together.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. I think, yeah, it's time. So we can, yes, last question for Gabriela. Gabi, please.
Hi, Iman.
Hello.
First of all, thank you for the presentation.
You're
We have a lot
welcome.
to digest, but it was fantastic. I have a question about Singapore. So for Class A, what really changed?
For Singapore, it's just that the CILB notification, as we all know, it's just that now it should be submitted by the share, through the share system.
Oh, okay. Okay.
As of
thank you.
all, yes, you're welcome.
Okay, same as for the rest.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Same
you.
as of the rest, yes, of course. Yes, we can welcome this last question from Vaishnavi. Hope I pronounced well.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, actually, my question is, ma'am, we are manufacturing the Class C and Class D devices. We are targeting the Vietnam, and in their desire, they are not mentioning that it requires the CE certification. But we are we are doing the registration documentation. We are preparing the documentation. Then they are like saying ki CE is mandatory for country registration for the Vietnam. So from where, how can I check this? Like, which are the documents which are required for the specific country registration?
Yes, just once. I think this is not related to our RegTalk today. I don't think we have presented something about Vietnam, but you are welcome to send me your question.
No, ma'am, no.
Yes, don't worry, because it is more like related to the scope of this RegTalk, but you can send me an email and I will be more than happy to answer to your question about Vietnam. And if you have any inquiry, we can help with that, whether the regulatory information or the processes you have to follow, and we will be more than happy to help with that. So I think you would, this presentation will be submitted to you, and you can ask for my email, and we can get together and follow up with this, okay?
Yeah, ma'am, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, and hope you will be all present in our next RegTalk for October with more updates and more insightful information. Thank you so much. Bye.